Welcome, my amazing viewers. Thank you so much for joining me on my program once again. I appreciate you wherever you are joining from. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please kindly subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you so much, and remember.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. There are a series of issues that have generated heated debate across the land over the 2023 general election. Some of these issues include voter registration and the integrity of it, and the purported discrepancies in the INEC. Some of the registered INEC is released for vetting, and INEC has said it's taking care of some of them. Some of these other issues, the agitations from politicians that there are plans to rig the election. Tonight, we're going to be assessing what INEC has done so far, the process leading to the elections, and how we can protect the integrity of the poll. I'm being joined by the Executive Director of YEG Africa, one of the organizations who monitor the election, as Mr. Samson Itodo, and as well as the Executive Director of Connected Development, Mr. Hamzat Lawal. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming tonight.
Thank you.
I'm indeed very I'm looking forward to us discussing the place of the young people in this election and how important they are. But let's begin the conversation in the area of integrity of the poll with Mr. Itodo. Give us a sense of the agitation that we have seen. We had Mr. Festus Okoye of INEC who said, look, there is no problem. People have highlighted and brought forward. In fact, there is a polling unit where almost everyone in that polling unit was born in the same year. And you see some people with a certain age, and their picture looks like they are 3 times that age. And sometimes you see a male picture with a female code just beside it. What can be done, or what do you think could be responsible for this?
Well, I think it's important to understand the entire value chain of the voter register management, that there are different layers and there are different steps. Now, and the reason why you have these different steps is to deepen the credibility of the voters register. And so when the field registration is concluded, the data is consolidated, and then INEC applies the ABIS, which is the automated biometric identification system. And what that simply does is to subject all the data gathered from the field to certain tests, things like facials, things like the biometric capture, whether those data were captured accurately in line with the guidelines. And so INEC has to clean up the register, because you have to see things like invalid or multiple entries. And then after that, you have a clean-up register where the PVCs are then produced from that register. But then the law also provides for display claims and objections. Mm-hmm. And INEC had displayed the register, the preliminary register, after the CVR. So people can go and say, hey, this person who is on this register is not meant to be on the register because this person is dead, or people have mistakes on their names. Like you talk about, there are cases where you have images of males when the actual voter is a female. There are issues relating to errors in the date. And I say these things are derived from human error and then system error. And it is not in any way new, because it happens to every system. So what is critical is the fact that INEC's cleanup system is able to detect that there are multiple registrants. Mm-hmm. That system is also able to detect that there are wrong people who are on the register. And the statement issued by INEC, I'm sure, is in response to this expose by the CUPP or so, because INEC was responding to that. And say, yes, nobody has been added to the 84.4 million registered voters. So after the cleanup process, then these people will be added to the register. So the fact that INEC system is able to detect this clearly shows that there's some level of confidence. I think it's important that we note that there's also an attempt, to delegitimize the voters register. And I say this as a leader of an organization that has audited the register. There are gaps in the register, no doubt. There are dead people on the register, no doubt. But to a large extent, we do have a credible register, and we wait for INEC. It concludes its cleanup process, and then it should complain to Nigerians, like it has done in the past, to say these are people who are on the register who ought not to be in register, and we have deleted and invalidated.
So quickly, something, allow Hamza to come in, but it's a security issue. I mean, security in the sense that how did those data and those registrations get into INEC's system in the first place?
Absolutely.
So if you have dead people, who registered a dead person? I mean, these are systems where people were finding problem in registering in the first place. So some people had their way in registering, and they were registering wrong people that were not in existence at all. These are some of the questions that have been posed. And in the past, we've seen that the people who are not supposed to be on the register are on the register. Ineligible people are being found on the register. So there's a big question mark on
and I think this is where INEC, and we hope that, INEC investigates this particular issue. And if there's any INEC staff who is complicit, who has, contributed, to this particular issue of where you have people, ineligible people on the voters register, those individuals have to be sanctioned and they have to be penalized because it's an electoral offense.
Yeah.
And so INEC owes a duty to the Nigerian people to investigate this particular issue and then come up with its findings. For now, we'll wait till the Electoral Commission conducts that, but INEC needs to know that it cannot sweep this under the carpet. The statement is clear, but it needs to go beyond that to investigate. And if its staff is complicit, like during the CVR, there are cases where INEC officials were exploiting, people, asking them to pay money before they get registered. Yeah. There are cases where INEC has sanctioned. You see, in cases like Benue, INEC took action. But INEC needs to tell Nigerians what it's doing, to purge, to
create a firewall. Sometimes it's not easy. So the question here, Hamza, which I like you to respond to, is: are these bots, are these robots that have made this happen? People will say, in fact, if you're going to be fraudulent, try to put some wisdom in your fraud activities, where you have almost a whole polling unit born in 1983. The person who was putting those data definitely was not smart. Putting one picture for several 40, 50 people and putting female against male picture. Could this be, like Samson mentioned, maybe a system error, or these are just robots or bots that are doing this? What lesson can we take away from that?
I don't think these are bots or robots, because if we say they're bots or robots, what it means is they've been, INEC system have been infiltrated. That's when you have spyware or malware, that's what create bots and robots in a system. I think that it's a machine error. And I think we should give INEC a benefit of doubt. Why is their response time and being even transparent about it? If they wanted to hide something, they wouldn't have placed those papers on the wall, because I'm sure officials in INEC have seen this. But because they're transparent and they have nothing to hide. So for me, I believe that we should give them room to gather their facts and investigate this matter and then inform the Nigerian people. And, INEC is quite responsive lately. And they have been responsive. So for me, let's not, jump the gun. Let's give them time. But I also think that the National Assembly has a responsibility to at least even call for a public hearing and try to get an ad hoc committee to investigate the matter. They owe it to the Nigerian people to hold INEC accountable. We're trying to get answers from a people's perspective, because the National Assembly is a people's assembly. So I believe a public hearing is not far-fetched, and maybe officials from INEC can come and answer some very important questions and clarify what actually went wrong and what they're doing you know, to ensure that the system has all the firewall that is needed as we go into 2023.
All right. There are other issues. I'll come to the issue of the young people and some of the issues relating to what you said in Okene when you were speaking at that gathering. But Samson, let me quickly come back to you. There are other issues that have been raised by politicians. In fact, I was reading a report relating to the ERAD and coming from our Osun election. You're laughing. Does your organization have a response to the manner in which our election has progressed, the integrity of the process? Because we need to protect the process such that we can have an election that we can all be proud of.
See, we need to note that we've made significant progress, and this incremental progress is driven by, one, citizens' awareness and that demand for credible elections. A lot of Nigerians, you know, want their vote to count. They want to elect leaders that would address the problems that they face. And they believe in the electoral process. This is why you see this high turnout of people. Secondly, the pressure for electoral reforms. We've got a terrific electoral law that seems to have revolutionized our elections with electronic transmission of results, as we saw in previous elections. INEC's independence is also safeguarded. There's just a lot of reforms within our electoral process, and we must commend the Nigerian people, quite frankly. We didn't get here because Nigerians were docile. We got here because citizens demanded for credible elections, to the extent that representatives of state, you know, have prioritized this particular issue. But I think the point in Osun, I say it's just unfortunate because that was just clear mischief. There was never a time, you know, Channels TV or Yaga Africa in our ERAD report did declare anyone a winner. We were very clear about the outcome of Ekiti and Osun, and we stand by those outcomes, that the results declared by INEC for those two elections were a reflection of the votes cast, because they were consistent with all the results that we gathered, both from the parallel vote tabulation as well as the ERAD. And do urge, you know, because this is an election year, and so politicians should refrain from engaging in mischief and using reports and statements from election observer groups, manipulating them to deceive the public. But you see the beavers, you can see what actually happened, that you have a litigation somewhere in Imo calling on the courts to actually issue, you know, a ruling that the beavers should not be used.
But we understand that the lawyer, that a person on whose name the case was being filed, his signature was forged and his identity was fraudulent, taken to file that case in court.
That's what we know. But what that tells you is there are people who are out there who don't want the credible elections in 2023. There are people who are out there who are against the popular will of Nigerians. They don't want these beavers because they know the beavers safeguards the vote of the Nigerian people. And this is why Nigerians need to rise up and continue to demand that the beavers is used for the elections, both for electronic accreditation and transfer of results, but also extending it. You know, the National Assembly resumes next week, and I think what the National Assembly should also do is, when they consider, you know, these nominations into INEC, these resident electoral commissioners, they should ensure there's scrutiny, and for people who have political and partisan leanings, they shouldn't confirm those nominees just to safeguard the integrity of the elections.
Let me, if I don't know if my producer can put up the figure, the table showing the registration of 12 million in 2022, and it shows this is not quite okay. So this is the new completed brings us to 96 million, but it will be it will be pronounced over later. But I mean, I like Hamza to respond to the number of young people that have come into the picture. Now, over 70% of the 12 million people who registered are young people between the age of 18 and 46. So it means something. If you look at the over...
Are yet to wake up from your slumber or your sleep and get the point that we are exiting Nigeria. Exiting Nigeria is not going to come from the platter of golden plate. You have to sacrifice for it. And we are ready to sacrifice everything, including you.
Group of people alone
if you come and stand in the way of freedom. So you need to know how serious we are. We are damn serious. Some of you are not getting it. You think we are here to build political movement? We are here for freedom. Freedom comes with price. Okay? The only thing you can do is to comment on social media. Don't ever stand on the way of Biafra freedom. We crush you.
Their interest is suppressed. Biafra is the key. Once they can hold Biafra down, they can hold all of Africa down.
Even colleagues,
hey, freedom fighting, sorry.
In the diaspora flew back into Nigeria
because all these people are criminals. They are saying there is no way this man cannot be a criminal like themselves. They don't have a different breed altogether. They don't know that.
It means that we would.
I am Nnamdi Kanu.
So there will be
I don't do all this nonsense you do.
No registration apathy. So if we can get the vote out, what this tells you.
My father was a very rich man, not ostentatious.
What becomes the fate.
I had the finest education that his money could afford.
And for me, this is bold. This
we
is
are
a
not
message
poor.
to say that
have never been. That is why a poor man cannot be a freedom fighter. If you're not full of yourself, you cannot be a freedom fighter.
It's not all about
everywhere.
The frivolity. Now people are focused on issues that affect insecurity, job, healthcare, education, and people are saying, how do you get this money? Are you increasing taxes? How do you create jobs? How do you create wealth? How do you ensure equity, justice, and fairness? What happened to women? What happened to people with disability? What is the place of young people? And what is the definition of young people? For the first time, no one have come out to tell us what is the definition of young people in their government. And, we've listened to all the front runners. Some of them want to take back the country and hand it over to young people. What does that mean? Are you saying that all your cabinet members will be young people? Is your definition of young people 60 or 70 years? Is it, between, 30, 245 or 50? So it's really exciting and encouraging. But the politicians should watch because now is the time for youth. And obviously we're going to take, the destiny of Nigeria into our hands and deliver it back on good governance.
All right, I'll give both of you 30 seconds each for your closing thought. And Samson, we had an election in Kenya. There's a lot of reactions and a lot of development that came out of that. It's a very good instruction for Nigeria and the way we should go. What are your thoughts about the expectations and the hopes and aspirations of many Nigerians towards the 2023 election? Just in 30 seconds.
I think Nigerians expect that the campaigns, as they commence in the next few weeks, will focus on the issues, and they hope that they won't be as toxic as we have seen in the last couple of weeks, that they focus on issues and explain to Nigerians, the how. But more importantly, Nigerians don't want to sell their votes. And so the politicians need to know that people are determined to vote on issues.
Your parting shot, Amzad.
Our biggest threat is fake news, misinformation, and disinformation. And now we even have deep fake. So as we go into the campaign season, people should really be wary of the information, particularly in the digital space. And lastly, I think INEC needs to review her guidelines for election. One of the lessons we got from Kenya is, they open the polls from 7 and they close by 5 p.m. And they just have about 22 million people in their register. Now, after INEC cleans up the register, it will be over 90 million. Yeah. We just have from, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. I think we need to increase the timing.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. I'm very optimistic about 2023 elections. It does look as well. And I hope that it's not Armageddon like some people are professing. It will be good for our nation. Thanks, Samson and Amzad, for
always a delight.
Thank you. That's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'll see you on Sunday, 8 p.m. I have something, a surprise for all of you. We'll see you then on Sunday.
Thank you so much for your patience to watch from the beginning to the end. I hope you have learned something from the video you have just watched. The video you have just watched is to bring information to your doorstep and for educational purpose. It is not to demonize anybody. Let us watch continuously and see who can be able to make a sense out of every nonsense we are seeing. We must continue. We move. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter what they say. They will kill us. We will kill them. At the end of the day, Biafra is here. Thank you for watching. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please kindly subscribe to the channel. click the notification bell so that you're notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. Thank you, and remember blessed. Bye-bye. See you again.